Sony, this better not be the first 8 minutes of Kraven. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. Now, I've seen people posting online because, yeah, Sony released the first 8 minutes of Kraven the Hunter, a movie that comes out in like a week or two. Studios do this all the time with movies that they maybe just think need a little boost. But it's not always because the movie's bad and they don't think people will see it. Sometimes it's to build hype because the first 8 minutes are especially cool. I believe the Lord of the Rings movie that is coming out, the animated Lord of the Rings movie that does look pretty cool, put out its first couple minutes too, so this is not completely unprecedented. Movies that are humongous events, obviously like Endgame, where everything's secret, those, they're not going to show them, but like, first of all, pretty much everything that's in these 8 minutes is in the trailer, so there's almost nothing that is new, and no new information that you would get from this besides just, wow, this Kraven guy, he's pretty serious about what he's doing. But because of the trailers, there was something that I noticed. Also, my cat Mortimer is on my lap because he heard me talking about Kraven, the protector of the animals, and he decided that this needed to be Mortimer lays on my lap while I record this video. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson and Ariana DeBose and Russell Crowe, is the last movie in the Spunk, the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. It is the universe that contained Venom, Morbius, and Madam Web, even though it kind of didn't contain them because they never interacted in any meaningful way. And also, those movies could never decide who Spider-Man was in those universes anyway. It's stupid. But like, this seems like the last part of that project. If they do make more movies that are like Spider-Man spinoffs, because of course they're going to keep saying they're going to do that, I don't think they're going to ever try to connect any of this stuff. If anything, I think they'll do like a universe reset thing like DC is doing and say like, no, this is the new Sony universe, just so that people get the taste of Madam Web and Morbius out of their mouth. But this is the last one of these. It's been moved a lot. It was supposed to come out last year, I believe, and now it's coming out at the end of this year. I'm sure COVID had something to do with it, but also it just seems like this one's been shuffled around and potentially things have been added to it, although I don't know exactly what. And it's a story, presumably, of Sergei Kravenov, one of Spider-Man's oldest enemies, the Hunter, the guy in the lion pelt who runs around with a spear and tries to catch Spider-Man because he is world's greatest hunter and Spider-Man world's most dangerous animal, stuff like that. It's, it's not incredibly subtle. A lot of people know Kraven either from like television shows or the comics or for the Spider-Man 2 game for PlayStation 5 where he was a big player. It was, I would say, like, that's a pretty solid adaptation of Kraven. And I think there's obviously room for different kinds of adaptations, and the fact that this isn't a big humongous man like that one doesn't mean that it's not going to be good or anything like that. I did see the director making the rounds the other day going like, listen, please give our thing a chance. Don't think about all those other movies that Sony has made. This is its own thing. Just pretend it's its own thing. And I think that's adorable. So they released the first 8 minutes of Kraven the Hunter. And I would say, like, overall, the reception I've seen online has been, it's kind of generic. I think that's fair. I think they're trying to go for a very, like, grounded take on Kraven, which is doable in the sense that, like, his superpowers aren't anything. He's not a vampire or even a spider person or anything like that, or Venom. He's a guy with some sort of enhanced senses or something. One of the trailers suggests that he can, like, communicate with animals, like if a hawk is flying above him, he could see what the hawk sees, maybe. I don't know if that's something maybe they are going to pull back on, but he's also the world's greatest big game hunter, so he's just like a real master strategist, and he lays traps and he finds challenges the same way that like those people that hunt man on an island do for sport. But he's also like a master tactician, so he lays traps. He wants to play with his prey. He wants to learn about them before he hunts them, before he kills them, because that's all the fun of the hunt and stuff. So yeah, the only superpowers that we see in this 8 minutes are Kraven being extra agile and like very agile, like the most agile man that ever lived. I wouldn't say he's superhumanly agile in that he's got like incredible climbing strength, but I guess it doesn't look the same as when like Toad does it in the first X-Men movie and you're like, that guy's just running up a wall. Like he has to kind of climb and do like handholds, you know what I mean? There's a difference. He feels like the luckiest, most skilled parkour person that ever existed. I mean, if anything, Kraven's superpower in this 8 minutes is that no one can shoot a gun at him. People are firing pistols and machine guns at Kraven, and Kraven is under humongous spotlight, and he is still just kind of like, oh, and everybody's missing. But yeah, so he doesn't use like laser beams or anything like that in this trailer. It's just super strength, agility, stuff like that. It plays this very straight, right? He's cool and scary and supposed to be like a scary Russian mobster type. I actually like the way they use the music in this 8 minutes, just because I thought it was very dramatic and very fun, even though it was supposed to be very serious and kind of dour. I guess it kind of takes it over the top a little bit in a way that's cool. But we see Kraven going to some sort of, Siberian prison or something in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of all the snow. And, the guys have to use the bathroom and then they go back in. And for some reason, we have to see this. We have to see Kraven turn around and be like, yeah, I'm Kraven. This feels like part of a scene that there was more of it. And it's gone. So Kraven goes to this prison, and it's like, oh my god, this prison's so tough. Everybody's got tattoos, and they're all yelling and stuff. He meets his cellmate, and his cellmate is the biggest guy ever. And his cellmate's, I'm gonna kill you. And he's like, give me 3 days. I didn't hate this relationship. I didn't hate the bit where he's like, you want to sit with me at lunch? And the guy says, no, that was cute. Then Kraven lifts weights real good, gets threatened by some guys, lift weights even better, and then bonks them on the head. So he's taken to meet the boss of this, I guess, like the gangster who kind of runs this prison. I use the word gangster very loosely, but you know what I mean. Organized crime boss, whatever it is. And when Kraven meets this person, he's like, I am the hunter, and we learn he's some legendary figure. And the guy's like, there's no such thing as the hunter. And we learn this crime boss does lots of terrible things. So then Kraven takes a fang out of the tiger rug, pulls it out, and then stabs everybody with it. Very graphic stabbing. Then he runs away mostly by like jumping out of a thing. There's a very funny moment where the guard's like, who's in here? And then he's like, I'm Kraven's in here. But then he runs around and climbs up and opens doors and climbs more and stuff. And then, and I want to be really specific about this because we're going to come back to it, Kraven just runs away into a snowstorm, gets into a plane immediately that's being flown by some other person, says go, and they leave. And it's just like a very generic kind of escape. I think the thing with him is, I would say my overall problem with this, I don't want to be super negative. Like I said, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is fine. I think the music was fun. I liked that big giant guy. And overall, I think it's okay. Like, it's a fine open for just a movie. I think the problem is, like, it's not that Kraven-y. And by that, I just mean, like, I know this is supposed to be kind of realistic, and that's what they think is cool about it. But, like, this is some sort of man who uses animal powers, and sometimes it's magic, and sometimes it's science, but whatever it is, some sort of something to fight Spider-Man. I think I would be okay with it being a little dumber than this. And specifically, just like more animal stuff. I know this sounds silly, but like, do it so that we can see the animal powers Kraven is using or something. Maybe like some sort of sound effect. Because I think the problem is if you showed this to someone who didn't know what Kraven was, especially because this is 8 minutes, this is the cold open. Obviously, it's like a minute of logos, but like, this is what's supposed to hook people. I'd say maybe you want to be like, there's a man with the power of the animals who hunts people. And here's why I think that should be here in this first 8 minutes. And why I don't think this is actually the first 8 minutes of this movie. And this isn't like a conspiracy. I have like proof. If you watch the trailer for this, it's slightly different. It puts these events into a slightly different context. And that scene that doesn't really make much sense where they're all peeing outside of the gas station. In that scene, one of the guards said something about wolves. Oh, there's wolves out here. Later, when Kraven's escaping, I, as someone who has seen the trailers and also just kind of knows how this stuff works, is like, the wolves, this is where they're going to come in. Here, they're going to kind of corner everybody. But then Kraven is going to use the wolves to his advantage. He's going to show that he's one with nature, and that's how he escapes. I'm pretty sure that's what happens because that's in a trailer. There's a shot where Kraven escapes into the snowstorm in this 8 minutes where he's by himself, but in a different version of the same shot, he's being chased by guys on snowmobiles. What I have a feeling this scene is going to be in the real movie, I'm betting they cut it short for simplicity's sake, or at least that's what I'm hoping, is that those guys are going to follow Kraven, they're all going to get lost, they're going to find him in the middle of the storm, and then the wolves are going to come and attack them. But he's going to be like, I'm cool with wolves. And then, the wolves, maybe he'll even like pet the wolves and be like, nice wolves. And then he will escape. Because if that's not what's happening here, if the version from the original trailer was the original version and they have edited it so that it is this instead, we're in for a problem. Because what that means is there was a scene that started this movie where Kraven broke out of a prison, and part of that prison breakout involved animals, wolves, coming to his aid. And then they took that wolves part out, which kind of feels like the thing a studio would do when they say, oh, we don't want this to be, a silly comic book thing. We want this to be serious. So, he just does really good jumping and fighting and stuff, but he's not going to like command the wolves or know these wolves in the middle of nowhere. So they got rid of it and toned it down, which I think is a bizarre choice, because if you just showed this whole scene to someone and you didn't know about Spider-Man, you didn't know about the Hunter, like they weren't aware of who Kraven was from comics, and you didn't know what the Spump was doing, you showed it to somebody, you'd just be like, I don't know, some John Wick guy or something who he's an assassin, he kills people, he hunts them. There would be no indication that he's some sort of superhero, and if we're not doing the superhero thing, then what's the point? Why are we bothering? Why, Sony, do you keep insisting on making these movies if you're going to water this stuff down? And honestly, from the trailers that we've seen of Kraven, I think they did the thing with the Kraven look. Like, he does seem like he actually hunts people. They gave him the silly Kraven outfit. But this first 8 minutes worries me. Not because of what is shown, but because of what is missing. Like, you can watch the first, it's on YouTube right now. Imagine it a little differently. This is one small change. I mean, this is the Nando cut. The rules are all different here because there's two things you would want to add, right? I would want to add Kraven being a good guy to animals at some point, and then I would want to add Kraven getting help from the animals or something like that. Like, we want to demonstrate Kraven's values in this first scene besides just, you're a person who does child trafficking and I don't like you. And it's not rocket science, it's screenwriting books. This is called Save the Cat, right? So maybe do that gas station scene a little differently, where they're like, where's Kraven? And the guard comes around and sees Kraven and a wolf. And the guard gets ready to shoot the wolf, and Kraven's like, no, don't shoot the wolf. The wolf is cool. And he nods to the wolf and then looks at the guard, and the guard's like, oh, what? Okay, whatever. And then maybe another guard comes in, shoots the wolf, and that makes Kraven very angry. But Kraven has a plan, so he can't deviate from the plan, so he goes to the jail. But he's gonna see that guy's name tag. Maybe you can even ask, what's your name? And that guy says it, and he's like, okay, good. And by the way, my Russian accent, very bad, but I'm not in the movie, so it doesn't matter. But then when the escape is happening, two things have to happen. Kraven has to kill all the guards except the guy that didn't shoot the wolf. There has to be a moment where that guy, pulls a gun on Kraven or something, or, Kraven's stabbing everybody, and Kraven puts the knife up to the guy's neck, and then looks at the name tag and goes, you're good, and then leaves. And the guy's like, oh, okay. Then when we chase Kraven into the snow, one of the guards that chases him has to be the guard that shot that wolf. And then Kraven sicks the wolves on him, and the wolves eat him. And that's the kind of justice that I think makes a character like Kraven very likable, is that he's after he's a bad person, but he's going after people who are mean to animals. And there are very few things in movies. John Wick has taught us this, and many movies have taught us this, that if you want people to not like a character, have them be mean to an animal. And so all of Kraven's enemies can just do that. And then it's I hope Kraven gets that guy for child trafficking, but also he just kicked that puppy. I extra hope Kraven gets that guy right now. It makes it personal. And again, I'm not saying that the movie is bad. I haven't seen it. I've only seen the 8 minutes. I think the 8 minutes are fine. But I do think it's weird that the 8 minutes they showed are different from either the theatrical cut, which is more fun because it has wolves that kill guys, or some older cut of the movie that has been watered down and all that cool animal stuff has just been taken out for some reason. So either way, I'm not loving it. I will see this movie. I'm very excited for it. I'm sure everybody is excited. We've got Kraven fever. We're Kraven, as we all say. But that just, worried me. And by the way, I'm making this video because Chase on the Ask Nando part of the Nando V Movies Discord was like, are you going to make a video about the first 8 minutes of Kraven? So, the answer is yes, I will. And this is the video. And it's a spunk. Looks like a spunk to me. But I'm very excited. It's my most anticipated movie the rest of the year for, this reason. So, that's all I got. Stay safe, everybody. I'll see you next time.